Check your video setting. How about? And worst case, I can resend you the link. So this is today's agenda. Chris Bradford, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
You bet. Please, let me make sure I'm not muted. Yeah, I'm not. Hello, everybody. Please place your hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible, with
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
You know the thing.
Diane, would you please share the invocation for the day?
Absolutely, Nancy. Thank you. So at the Salvation Army, when someone passes on, they are acknowledged as being promoted to glory. So as we mourn our beloved and of course amazing Don Nelson and Don Park, while celebrating them at the same time with their promotion to glory, I'd like to say a little prayer that I say at Thanksgiving every year. So, dear God, for each new morning with its light, for rest and shelter of the night, for health and food, for love and good friends, for everything thy goodness sends, thank you. Amen.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Okay, excuse me, I just need to admit 2 more members. And that was absolutely lovely. Thank you, Diane. In honor of today's guest speaker, our songmeister, Ed Gold, has chosen Anchors Away.
Okay, I would ask that people not rush through the song and sing it deliberately, and then maybe we'll be more in concert. So it's Anchors Away, commemorate Dr. McNeil's service for our country in the Navy during World War II, which we certainly are thankful for. So here we go. Anchors away, anchors away,
Foreign
farewell to foreign shores, till at break of day,
yea, through
our last
shore to the phone until we wish you a happy voyage home.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, I think it was a little better.
It was a little bit better, yes.
I don't know about that. Okay.
We're gonna plan song rehearsals in between weeks, I think. So I'm seeing 2 visiting Rotarians. Our Assistant Governor, Michael Lushing, I believe I saw join us. Thank you for joining us again.
Have to be a part of your meeting, Nancy.
Oh, thank you. We're honored to have you. And I see that Donald Larkin is with the Morgan Hill Rotary Club. Is that correct?
That's correct. I'm visiting from the Morgan Hill Rotary Club. I like these Zoom meetings because I can visit different clubs, but I'm also visiting this one because your speaker today is my grandfather.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Well, we're so pleased to have you with us. And I believe I saw, in terms of guests, I saw Catherine McNeil. Is that correct? I saw her enter. I'm not seeing her at the moment. Welcome if you're here and I'm just not seeing you. And are there other guests besides our guest speaker who we will be introducing momentarily?
I see Mario.
Yes, Mario Banuelos with the Rotary Club of Morgan Hill.
Oh, welcome. Wonderful, Mario. I'm sorry, I can't see everybody on the screen at the same time, so it's wonderful to have you here as well. And I love the idea of joining other clubs Zoom meetings, it's something I've been meaning to do. So this is a good reminder to me that it's a wonderful way to get a sense of how other clubs do things. So again, welcome. We're very pleased to have you with us today. And announcements, once again, unfortunately, we start with a sad announcement. As everyone probably knows by now, Don Park passed away on Monday night. He was a beloved member of this club for over 50 years. And that kind of loyalty and tenure is astonishing to me. And I just honor it. He was a Paul Harris Fellow, Paul Harris Society member, and a renowned architect with a career spanning 6 decades. Peter Moore, who had to step away because his grandchildren are here, emailed me several excerpts from Don's book, and I was just so moved, here comes Sally, and impressed by his work. And I think what a privilege to have men of his caliber and Don Nelson's caliber to be part of our club. There will be a virtual memorial service for Don Nelson, as I think most of you have heard by now. It will be next Wednesday, October 7th at 5 o'clock via Zoom. I sent out an announcement. I will be sending out a reminder. If anybody hasn't received it and is interested in attending, please let me know and I will be sure to resend you that information. And we're also reminded that life does go on. We have several birthdays to acknowledge in October. Bob Westling has a birthday next Thursday. Bill Edwards on October 11th. Lisa Chapman has a birthday on October 19th. Steve Day has a birthday on October 25th. Deborah Shearer has a birthday on October 26th. And Peter Moore celebrates his birthday on Halloween. Would that not have been great fun when you were a kid? So happy birthday to everyone. By the way, I didn't find a record of any wedding anniversaries in October, but not everybody has entered that. Do you have one, Allie? What's your wedding anniversary?
Aaron and I will be married 19 years on October 6th.
On October 2nd or 7th? 6th. Oh, okay, great. Well, then next week you'll have a special slide. As I said, not everybody's at. I'm sorry?
I'm teasing. I said, we'll see if we make it to then.
That's great. That's really impressive. Congratulations. And I'm thrilled to know that. I'll see if we can enter that into Club Runner. Not everybody's anniversaries are in Club Runner. So we'll take this opportunity to fill out people's personal information. We have 3 club anniversaries this month. Both Bill and Carol will have been club members for 2 years today. So congratulations, and we're really happy to have you both with us. And Gordon Fell, I'm impressed, 17 years. That is truly.
That's almost 50.
On your way?
Well, speaking of Don Park, I'm just saying it's almost 50 years.
Yeah. Okay. And just a reminder about silent auction baskets for the District 5280 Foundation celebration. There are 3 in the works. Mark is generously donating 2 golf-themed baskets. Diane is planning to add UCLA golf shirts. Diane is also doing a celebratory UCLA basket to honor UCLA's being named the #1 public university in the United States for the 4th year in a row, which is really awe-inspiring. And Diane is working with Tom and Bill to compile sports-related items. There will be a bottle of champagne. So, and there are obviously other district items of news. I'm foregoing those for this meeting because we have a number of announcements, but I will pick those up again next week. I had a lovely email message from our district governor, Beth Hall, about her meeting with us. And she thanked us for the flowers. But what's really important is she said, I love this time with your club. You are a great club and do so very much in your community and internationally. Please make sure that your wonderful members know how much we enjoyed our time with you. Yours very truly, Beth. And I have a couple of other short announcements before we move on to our guest speaker. Chris Gaynor notified me that he had surgery yesterday to repair a torn peroneal tendon, which occurred while he was playing tennis. So I'm sure he would really appreciate everyone's well wishes. That sounds really painful. And I don't know what the recovery time is, but I have a feeling it's not short.
It was worth it.
I'm sorry?
But it was worth it.
But it was worth it.
The shot was worth it.
Spoken like a true, here's Brian Whitney, spoken like a true tennis fan. Also, I was notified by UCLA that they are continuing their work from home arrangements until everyone except certain medical professionals until next March 19th. So they didn't mention the faculty center, but I have to think that won't be open before March 19th either. So we're going to closely monitor the evolution of the pandemic situation to see when might be a good time for us to think about trying to meet in person, and hopefully it'll be before next March 19th, but it just means that we would need to find another venue, which I think would be fine with people, but I just wanted to let you know that a UCLA location is off the table for another 6 months. And I have to say, I'm a little shocked that UCLA has already extended it by that long a period of time. Up to now, it's been more a month or two at a time. So we'll certainly keep you apprised as we look at alternatives, as we look at any changes to our meeting schedule. And
Nancy,
yes,
if it's anywhere near safe, could we maybe try another location to have an in-person meeting at the first part of the year?
Absolutely, we can do that. So I did not mean to imply that if UCLA is off limits until March 19th, that we can't meet either. Quite the opposite. I'm hoping that we won't have to wait until anything close to next March before we meet in person again. And I think as a club, we'll talk about it. If we feel comfortable and possibly even by the end of this year, then we will certainly look at other venues. I think it would be wonderful to be together again, also being mindful of people's health concerns. So good question, Tom. I'm glad you asked for that clarification. And, whoops, I would now like to bring on Bill Rohn to introduce our guest speaker.
Well, thank you very much.
Are you there? There you are. I see you. Sorry.
I'm glad
Great.
you can see me. I can't see you. I've lost my video. I don't know what happened to it. It's just in the middle. But I can hear you. And let me introduce John. John,
come here.
John McNeil.
Come
I
here,
know for many years. We had a little group at UCLA that worked out on the track with Rayford Johnson. Jogging around the track in the morning, I meet this young man, and we start talking, and he introduced himself and said he was in the education department, yada yada. And I said, well, why don't we have lunch and talk? So we've done that over about the last 15, 20 years. I can't remember how long it is now, but we talk about our families and his history and his family and my family. And he is just a marvelous person with such a great history. I think he gave you a little introduction, and you're all really going to have a wonderful experience listening to John, because he is a very special man, and he's going to be 101 next year, next month, next month. So here he is, Dr. John McNeil from the UCLA Education Department and World War II Omaha Beach veteran. John?
Welcome, Dr. McNeil.
Yes, I'm ready. I just want to just welcome everybody, and especially birthday greetings to Carol and DeVille. I'm so pleased to meet the rest of all of you. You're wonderful people. But I thought we were going to, there was an announcement in today's New York Times that they're going to have a special feature on the Atlantic Wars. And the Atlantic War was terrible because the submarines were so active, but they had as the skippers of the ships that were sunk going to Murmansk were experienced seamen, and they also had a special unit on every one of those ships called an armed guard. And they were high school dropouts generally who had been trained on how to fire a 5-inch gun and machine gun, and they were protect these ships going to Murmansk. The losses were tremendous. That's the eastern section that's going to be in the New York Times coming up. But in my case, you must remember, California was in bad shape. There were no jobs for high school students to speak of, very few. The economy was terrible. We had terrible racial discrimination. Every Black person had to sit in the balconies to be went to a movie. And then the unemployment was incredible. High school students, in order to make it, had to join this National Guard. So our California National Guard were high school kids, graduates who could find no other employment. So what happened? The thing that started the war was when the Japanese, who weren't supposed to be able to fly or to build anything, gave us that Pearl Harbor with and killing those American kids who had been put into that area. And I'm going to tell you something that you don't know. It's heartbreaking. That same California unit was one of the key units at Normandy. The same California kids. That's why New York casualties were so high at the Battle of Normandy. They were just our unit transferred to the battle scene. Well, getting back a bit, we West Coast, we started to get our MacArthur wanted cargo ships to carry Black soldiers to the war in New Guinea against the Japanese that were winning the war. So I got one of those armed guard groups of 14 men. You'd never know they'd been in school. They came from some strange parts of the Southwest. They didn't have any education. Most of them couldn't read, but they were good-hearted kids. And we had this merchant ship that I was on with them. And it was a wonderful merchant ship. I liked the navigator, all of them. And then I had these young men, and we went over to, first of all, to Australia, and I picked up 100 or more black soldiers to carry them up to New Guinea, where the Japanese were winning the battle against Australia. And so I had them let me off. And then for several months, I was going back for more of these black soldiers, but they weren't firing anything. They were the stevedores for the whole war going on. It was a sad thing. I met all the natives in New Guinea, and every night that I was there, my ship was bombed by a man, by one guy. We called him Steamship Charlie, and he just dropped this bomb every single night. And just before I was to leave, he dropped one bomb that would often killed 5 people and damaged the ship. We could repair it. And I took off back
101 years
to
old.
Libya. And then finally, they reassigned me at that time to become a fire control officer for a new ship, a most amazing ship called the Achenar. And I was the fire control officer of that ship. And that ship, actually, they didn't tell us it was to be the capital for the invasion. But I had too much ammunition on board and a lot of problems. Some of you will be interested because we were getting new weapons from other countries. And one of them was a wonderful machine gun, the Beaufort, that could be raised and lowered from a distance. But the only thing I found out was it cut the loader his thumb off all the time. So these thumbs were being shot down and escape along with the carriage. So I had to reply to Washington right away to get that stopped from that Beaufort. It just wasn't working. It wasn't an American company. And then this ship was unbelievable. We had 2 crews. We had boat crews to unload the troops, and then we had the regular ship's crews. And on the regular ship, there was lots of discrimination, Filipinos and the blacks. But over time, I got the blacks to play their music they wanted to play at night for the teams, and that helped. But this invasion came, and the day I got a message from an old friend of mine who was with the California National Guard. And he said he was kind of excited. They never made it. They never made it. The California people didn't make it. They were wiped out to start with. The landing was awful. General Hodge came on our ship to conduct the war college for them. And it was a terrible blunder. The Americans were set up to a losing game. There was no way to get those men off on the landing off the beachhead, and they were just perfect targets. So the bodies over months just piled up and floated on that sea. But the British, they had the best landing, and they had a better commander. And the British went ahead. They got up on top. We didn't. Most of our people were corpses right there. And so finally, we couldn't unload. And so we got permission to go back to London and loan up some Seabees. And the Seabees could put some mats in to get those bodies out. And also to put in mats that would allow a tank or some heavy equipment. That landing was terrible. That was terrible. And so, but I was there, that was early in July. We didn't get out until August. And then when we did get out, the Germans were already coming in from Rommel and their big tank commands. they had come up and they came up, it was paradoxical. Many of their soldiers were the Japanese Americans whose parents were in our concentration camps here. But those Japanese kids and some blacks actually got us through the country, and were entering into southern France to stop these Germans who were coming in from the Nazis from the Middle East, and with their tanks, and you had the German Tank Corps. But I have to give credit. So many California people were flying the gliders and they were dropping flames and fires to stop the Germans from encircling the Americans that arrived. So the flyers were unbelievable. And these other people that brought them in, and so they moved in, but it was horrendous. That was August the 24th. The war was terrible. The Germans had a new jet plane, first we'd ever seen. And the new reports today will tell you that if the Germans had stayed with the jet planes against England, they would have won. Instead, they went to submarine warfare instead of the jets. And that was a big mistake that the Germans made. But meanwhile, from August the 24th until sometime after Christmas, the Americans were still trying to get together with the Russians who were coming in out of Germany, where they'd come down. Well, as soon as that war, for me, it was over then. So then the next thing I know, I had that ship. I was now the exec of that ship. And I went right out with that ship, the order to Okinawa. I never even heard of Okinawa. Okinawa, the first night, we were out there with a big cargo, man, and equipment, big booms, this gigantic Okinawa ship. And I only had one man who we picked up who didn't want to be on board. All the other men were content to be in that battle. And we got up to Okinawa about midnight. Only one man didn't want to be aboard. I was around at midnight, the first night, talking with a little kid from Kansas, when all of a sudden, I heard about Kansas, and I started to walk to the radio room, when all of a sudden this kamikaze came, knocked down the booms, killed this little boy. Then his bomb went off of the side where our fire control was, and they maimed or killed 24 men. There are arms control, our people who were there for emergency. 24 of them were killed. It was a big disaster with the ship. And worst of all, our booms were gone. So we couldn't unload. So every night we tried to escape by the sea, the kamikazes at night. The kamikazes came by boat and they came by plane. And the boat engines often had been made in General Motors, and they'd throw these bombs on. But we stayed in movement at night. But then after that, after 1 month, our very clever bosuns could rig the booms again, and we could finally unload the tanks and all the equipment for the landing of Okinawa. And we got out of Okinawa and got back and had the ship repaired. And I was then going back when they dropped the atomic bomb. And then I didn't hear anymore for many years. And then I had left the Navy after that, after the bomb. And I was teaching school in the high school. And all of a sudden, I got an order from MacArthur, order under his command. I had to hurry out to Korea. The Chinese and the Koreans were fighting, and we were going under, I got the staff of Admiral Doyle. And our landing, amphibious landing, was to kind of back up the forces there. But instead we became the evasion forces. They hadn't expected the Chinese to come. There was one man, I know his son well. He was in charge of 200 men. He was on the border when China entered to backstop and when the Chinese came, this commander of these Americans, he asked them, you guys can decide yourself. You want to die or do you want to go to prison camps in Korea? They said they wanted to go to prison camps. You should read what happened to them in those camps and how it affected their mentality before they could get out. So anyway, I was there, I moved over and I became on the ship that was evacuating. All we could do was get the people out of that part of Korea and take them around to Busan. And then at Busan, I kept the war diary it was terrible. We had planes, so we had submarines, we had infantry and all. And then MacArthur was not satisfied. He wanted to drop another bomb on the Chinese. I was terrified. And I was just terrified on the war plan if I had to write up another bombing, atomic bomb. So at that time, my big relief was when President Truman made the flight out and got a hold of MacArthur and told him, get the hell out of here, and fired him and brought him back. And that's when MacArthur made his famous talk. Old soldiers never die, they just fade away. He went home then to the Astor Hotel, never heard any more of it. But that was Dug Out Doug. That was the whole story. So anyway, that was a very interesting episode for me. And then I finally got out and I stayed with the Navy on operations on amphibious training for people there for several summers. And so I eventually left the contact with the Navy, and I spent my time in teaching first in a high school in San Diego, and then I was asked to come to UCLA, which I did for teacher ed, to do teacher ed. And I can tell you wonderful stories about how that school has changed over the years and the excitement that they're in and how they're dealing with today's problems. But I've talked too much, but I just feel that the big issues of race and social justice and our people and the prosperity that we have compared with that 1940. But some of the issues are the same. At that time, we had a few blacks that were picked for celebrity position as flyers, but then most of them were not. But now it's so different. They're not just brought in like a slave ship on a cargo to do their work. But the whole thing, the discriminations at that time against Mexicans and against was very strong in the whole society. So we can see some big changes. Well, listen, I've probably said too many things, but I'm hoping that You read the New York Times on the Atlantic. Oh, I must tell you, one of my childhood friends in San Diego was a little black guy, Stuart Heisenberg. He was placed into one of those Atlantic submarines at the war, and I never saw him again. And then Truman picked only one person, one soldier for court-martial. That he was to be executed on traitorism. He was a brilliant student, Maple. He sat before me from junior high school through high school. Only he was much smarter he was an honors student. He was a wonderful doctoral student in the East, and he was in charge of German prisoners in the United States. And he put 2 or 3 of them in his car and arranged with the German commander of submarines to pick these men up off Mexican coast. When they finally caught him out there in Mexico with these escaped prisoners. And so Truman, he was the only American soldier to be executed. And I was very sorry for this boy. I knew him all as a gifted musician, brilliant man. But I guess they didn't do that. And he ended up as an insurance investigator, an insurance writer in San Diego. I wanted to go back to see him afterwards, but never did. Listen, I've spoken too much, but I wanted to say, I did get to the wars, especially in Nicaragua and some of those other wars that came. I was sent into those countries, and those were terrible wars. Actually, when they had their peace, one man summed it up for me. He said, under these Contra wars, we had no food. Now that it's over, we have no money, but we have food. And I can tell you that all is that expensive of those Contra wars, and they're still going on, coming on big in Nicaragua, Honduras, and I could go on at length of the activities, but you're bored, I'm sure, with so many of these wars. But then I was quite surprised in 2000 to be asked to go to Azerbaijan and work with these refugees. And now we're right back. If you could see the pictures that the children drew of their houses burning in their life and the old people so destitute. And now they're replaying that whole scene today in today's newspaper. So here is your organization. You are something special. They say, blessed be the peacekeepers, for they shall inherit the world. And you are. You're going to inherit the world. The work that you're doing is real. It's not destructive. You are always uplifting. You are the uplifting what you're doing for the homeless, what you're doing for the veterans. And more than that, you don't think of destruction of other cultures and people. You are open-minded to other people for understanding and peace. And I'm telling you, I would say blessed to the peacekeepers. I think a blessing to the peacekeepers. I think I've spoken too much, but whatever it's worth, I just want to give my compliments to you. How much time do we have? Oh, do talk. Huh?
Thank you, Dr. McNeil. That was so moving, and it truly is special to get to hear from about experiences going as far back as World War II from someone who was actually there. And you're obviously a tremendously courageous man. You've lived a remarkable and full life, and it's really been a privilege to have you with us today. Does anybody have any questions?
Well, along about the time he was working so hard for our country, I was probably 5, 6 years old. And I remember the horror that happened in our family when Pearl Harbor came about, and how happy we were that people like him was out there fighting for us. I salute
Amen.
you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Well, I'd like to say something about John and where he is today. You know, he's still teaching at UCLA. He has a graduate class. I think he had 40 this last quarter.
Oh, no. Mark. Eddie's on the phone.
Mhm.
She says she just has to put the view in on, or she has to wait 6 weeks if she doesn't do it now. Was the last price $1,595,000 for Via Floresta? Is that correct?
I put POR.
Mark, mute yourself. We can all hear your real estate
Price
stuff.
on request?
I'm sorry that I got knocked off. Mark, you gotta mute yourself. Anyway, I just started to tell you that this class that he's teaching is one class, but they're developing a class at UCLA for graduate athletes, which UCLA needs very badly, and gives these fifth-year students a chance to get into coaching and all the aspects of it.
Wonderful.
And the education department is sponsoring that, which is John's involved in it, and he keeps going. I mean, man, this guy is like the Energizer Bunny. He doesn't stop. And I think you're all very lucky to have had this opportunity to hear from one of our great patriarchs.
Bill, maybe I missed it, but what is the subject matter of his classes he taught? What was it about?
It's
What was your class about in the summer you taught?
John is written
What's the class you taught in the summer? What was it about?
What? Education.
Description.
New education. The one that he just taught is new ways to teach. You know, I'm not in that area. He could tell you better, but the one in for the athletes and the coaches is really one that is going to be good if they can get the funding. They're looking for some big money to keep that going. Like anything else, you know, it's always a matter of that. But
Can they hear me? Oh, Dick, Bill?
Yes, sir.
Bill?
Yes, sir.
I want to say something about the summer program. Another man and I taught this course for 30 students, honor students from all fields. And they were on international development from all different countries. And they were wonderful. They had to make a friend during the time. They had to use the minds from different subject matters to solve problems. And they went to different countries, India, Chile, other countries, China, and actually found out the serious problems and then designed some way of making a contribution. Their civic and world betterment projects are great. And they were things that I never thought of. In India, for example, they found that sanitation was a big problem for young people, other people, and also discrimination between the women. But instead of them trying to get the funding from Cotex for the sanitation or do things, they found 4 or 5 charities that were doing a wonderful job on those problems. So they, as a group, said, how can we help the charities that are already doing a marvelous job? It was a different idea. Instead of all of them trying to do something at a distance, even with a partner, it was better to help some of the volunteer groups from their own local agencies that are really making a difference. So the students, all 30 of them, everybody made a friendship except one. And the projects in these foreign countries were unbelievable, inspiring, just inspiring. This is the 6th year I've given that course now, but this is the first year we've given it on the line. But the line wasn't so bad because they were organized into their teams, and the teams worked together in close consort. So I've really enjoyed the course. I enjoy the students, and I think it's just a wonderful thing. I mean, it was a great opportunity for me to work with these young people and to see the beautiful thinking they can do. And so I think we have only good things ahead, only good things ahead. Thank you, Bill.
I have a question.
John, go ahead.
Question, yeah. Professor, that was a wonderful talk. And I really loved your statement about blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall inherit the earth. But since we all realize that we do need an active armed forces still, what is your opinion about people who decide to go into the active military now, either the officers or the enlisted men? What is your opinion about them?
Okay, repeat the question one more time.
I missed some of that.
Okay, what is your opinion about people who choose to go into the active military now in face of the idea that we all would want peace? But what is your opinion about people who decide to go into the military now?
I think I know it's a big change. We have women now who volunteer for the military. But answering your question, I know, I hope some of them are not just driven in for economic reasons. I would hope that I think there good people are needed. I don't like our United States creating a separate military. They're getting rid of the existing military to build a new space warfare in the space. That's where they're going. We're not, so our military is changing. It's getting ready for a new spatial war. We've already disregarded our atomic bomb treaty. We say we're going to make more bombs that different, more powerful than before. So our attitude is definitely for destruction. I'm sorry, it's for destruction. And look, the way it's sold, we have to decide, Eisenhower said it, we make our money in this country chiefly by selling armaments. That's what we do. But those armaments actually give us jobs. We're back on the same question. How do we get more arms for our people? And to do that, we'll kill all those kids in Saudi Arabia and everywhere else. So it's a trade-off. We'll sell these arms and destruction and gliders and pilots and all, and the bombing of the innocents, because we got to keep some jobs at home. And we make our jobs out of the industry.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Professor. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Well, Dr. McNeil, I really want to thank you for being with us today and sharing your fascinating story and perspective And to show appreciation for your time with us today, we're going to make a donation to the Westwood Public Library in your name. And we hope that you will feel free to visit us again. I know I personally will want to hear more about the work that you're continuing to do. It's remarkable. I want to be you when I grow up.
I want to tell you, you'll live it out. You are precious. You're a precious group. You deserve all the help and support that we can get. I'm thrilled with you. You stand out above anything. Your thinking, your openness, your hearts is the hope of the future of this country. It's the hope. You should exemplar. I would never have known that so much from this Rotary and what it really should be. And I'm just supportive of you all. And again, congratulations to Carol and Bill, and I'll wish the best of all, and I'll never forget you.
Thank you so much.
Great talk.
Absolutely. Take care. We look forward to hearing more about you. Group, we will meet again next Thursday, same time, same place. Stay safe and well in the meantime, and thank you all for being here. Have an excellent week. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.